Hello and welcome back to Chasing Excellence, a show about chasing what truly matters. My name is Patrick Cummings. As always, I'm here with Ben Bergeron. Thank you so much for joining us this time around. How are you, my friend?
I'm good this time around.
Just this time around, you're doing well. Next time around, question. We've got listener questions where we take your questions about the 5 factors of health, those few fundamental behaviors that most positively affect our performance, vitality, and longevity. For those who may be new, those 5 factors are how we eat, how we train, how we think, connect, and recover. This week, we've got 5 questions from members of the Chase Club. I'll tell you what that is in a second. We're going to be talking about book clubs for middle school kids, what to do in the gym when a fellow class member isn't held to account for poor standards, strategies for maintaining a positive mindset during trying times, and more. Real quick, chasingexcellence.email is where you can get more from us. Jump on our free newsletter list. We send out an email or 2 every single week with links to forms that you can ask your own questions that we can hopefully get into future episodes. If you want to dive into even more, you can join the Chase Club, where we have ad-free episodes as well as things like book clubs. And once a month, we answer questions from Chase Club members exclusively. So again, chasingexcellence.email. One more thing, something we've got coming up November 16th, Ben, that you have coming up. You and friend of the show, former Navy SEAL, Chris Irwin, who we are going to have on the show soon. You guys are teaming up to host a single-day seminar called The Mindful Athlete at CrossFit New England, November 16th. It's going to be a one-day event that'll help cultivate inner awareness, mental resilience, and intentionality in your training and throughout your day. Folks who attend are going to discover how to stay grounded, embrace challenges with purpose, and lead your life with clarity and thoughtfulness. If you want to learn more and possibly join us, CompTrain.com/events is the way to do so. The Mindful Athlete on November 16th.
Chris is a longtime friend. Known him for a very long time. He brought me onto the advisory board when he was the president of Killcliff. Before that, he was playing badass Navy SEAL, career Navy SEAL, and he's probably not going to listen to this, so I'll brag, but he's legit. SEAL Team 6, badass dude. So we've gotten together. We have a lot of shared thoughts, shared approaches to mindset, mental toughness, mental fitness. So we have put together a one-day seminar that we're going to do for the first time, as you said, in a couple weeks at CrossFit New England. It's 9 to 5. There is a workout involved. If you'd like to be a part of it, the workout is part of the deal is mentally tough. It's mental fitness.
Yep.
You got to train it. And part of the training is the physicality. You can't have one without the other. So yeah, CompTrain.com/events is the way to get there.
Awesome. And seats are obviously limited. So if you are interested, jump on quick. Okay. Like I said, we've got 5 questions. Let's jump into the first one. This one's from John. I'm starting a book club with some middle school students aged 12 to 14. I'd love your recommendation for books. I'm considering kicking off with either Man's Search for Meaning or The Alchemist. What do y'all think?
What do y'all think? Do you have any recommendations, Patrick Start?
I do. I've got a couple recommendations.
Go for it.
The first is really practical. I've never read it because it's not for me, obviously, but Cal Newport wrote a book called How to Be a High School Superstar, a revolutionary plan to get into college by standing out without burning out. And Cal Newport, if you know, deep work, digital minimalism, all sorts of things. He's such a big brain. And so I assume this is one of his earlier books, but I assume it's just as good as everything else. So if you want to get real practical without knowing what the purpose of the book club is, that would be maybe a good one. One other recommendation is the Daily Stoic, or really anything by Ryan Holiday. And the reason is, I think for this age group, the important thing of the book club is not reading a bunch of books, but it's actually the discussion that happens after reading anything at all. And a 12 to 14-year-old, it might be a really big ask to read more than, 500 words or 1,000 words. So what I started thinking about is what books might be really good conversation starters for this age group. And so anything by Ryan Holiday, you could literally flip any of those chapters open and they're full of stories and they're full of lessons. And the book club could just be, we're just going to do 3 chapters or 3 lessons from Ego is the Enemy or Stillness is the Key or any one of his new books. Or even the Daily Stoic, which is kind of perfect. It's just a short passage. And then that just sparks the conversation. And that's really the important part.
I love that. Great suggestions, man. Ryan Holiday's great stuff. I would suggest of those, Obstacle is the Way.
Yeah.
I think it's my favorite Holiday book. And when Tom Brady was on the Patriots, he had everyone on his team read that book. It's And if football players can read it, middle schoolers can read it.
Oh,
No knock to football players. I'll give kind of in order of density of read, because I obviously don't know. If middle schoolers, my son's in middle school and he's not going to read The Alchemist. One of the ones that we give to our middle school program is The Hard Hat by John Gordon.
Oh, cool.
Super easy read. It probably reads at more of like a 4th grade level. But again, like I think it's the idea is read and have discussions.
Yeah.
And could they read something that they will not fight, that they'd actually enjoy, and that it could really impact the rest of their lives? It's all about being a great teammate. Mm-hmm. I share that story, and that story has been a big part of the way we've shaped hiring and the onboarding process and the culture at CrossFit New England. So that's The Hard Hat by John Gordon, really easy read. The next one would be Turning Pro by Pressfield.
Love that book.
It's very Obstacles the Way-esque, right? I think Obstacle Way is like 2 to 3 page chapters. This is like a couple paragraph type chapters. But it's about the difference between being an amateur and a pro.
Yep.
And man, would that benefit a middle schooler to realize that, it takes effort, it takes work. There is a difference. It's not just the luck of the draw. Mm-hmm. The next one is one we've talked about a lot, which is, man, if I was able to, first I think they find it engaging, but the next is setting the stage for them in terms of like this lack of entitlement and the way you're set up for maybe a hard road ahead because you have so much ease in front of you, is The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter. I have a list of the top 50 books that I try to keep reshaping in order.
Yep.
And that's gone to the front.
And I saw that because shared that
read this first. I think that you have to understand before Mindset by Carol Dweck, which I think wasn't on my list, but that would be a great one as well. Mm-hmm. And then the last one is what he said, which is Man's Search for Meaning. Mm-hmm. It's probably the densest of them, but it's so powerful. Between stimulus and response, there is a gap. And that gap is your ability to choose. And I just think he has, when you hear that from someone like me, you're like, whatever, dude. Mm-hmm. You hear from someone like Frankel, his family was ripped out of his arms and thrown into a furnace, and he spent 4 years in a concentration camp. If anyone can manage their response in the most trying of situations, if he can do it, then we can do it type thing. So those are my 4 or 5 that I would lean into. Those
are great. The Pressfield one reminds me of another one that I might recommend from Seth Godin called What to Do When It's Your Turn. And it's like full of pictures. It's Seth Godin-esque, so it's really short, very punchy, and you can digest it really easy. And the whole thing is relatively short. It's effectively about recognizing that you choose yourself. You do not wait to be chosen, but you choose yourself. And for this age group, I think that might also work.
Oh, dig that.
Cool. Hopefully that was helpful, John.
He's a very witty writer too.
He's
very
Yep. Really cool that you're doing that book club for 12 to 14. We wish you the best there.
Yeah.
Next question is from Andrew. One of my biggest distractions while working out at my CrossFit gym is mentally coaching other people. I was a coach for many years. There's a guy in my regular class who moves poorly. He can squat below parallel without weight, but when he loads up a bar, he does quarter squats or thrusters throughout the class and thinks that it's okay. He even rings the PR bell. We did Jackie today, and it was hard to watch. He always positions himself at the front of the class. Otherwise, I'd look away. I'm trying to be curious instead of judgmental. What really made me think about this was when he celebrated his 5-year gym-iversary. The owner and coaches have been enabling this behavior for years. My gym doesn't have much of a social atmosphere or community, so befriending him to discuss this isn't really an option. I'm not sure if the owner would be receptive either, as he hasn't fostered a gym culture or coached staff who prioritize correct movement. I'm not really sure what my question is here since there's no clear solution. I guess it's more, what can I do or should I do in this situation?
So specifically to this question, which is, don't think it's his fault, think it's the gym owner's fault, not much of a community, don't think that the coach or owners would be very receptive to it. The answer is, I would let it be. Yeah. And that's for somebody that is meticulous about human movement. I think it's very important, and I try my best not to let that happen in my gym. But when I travel to other gyms and I see things like that happen, I don't speak up. I don't correct. Essentially, you're going into someone else's family and you have somebody that isn't clearing the table, isn't doing the dishes, isn't doing things, quote, the right way. It's a little bit more complex than that. It's a little bit more intertwined than that. It's not a simple solution. To me, it's a little bit of, we've been having this conversation in car rides with our kids, but it's like, it's picking battles. Like, where are you going to put your effort? Where are you going to put your attention? Where are you going to really try to make change with all the kind of, not prerequisites, with all the qualifiers that he listed after that? I don't think is worth the fight, quite frankly.
Yep.
If it was some other things, coach is really receptive. They have an incredible culture. They want to seem to do things the right way. They talk about it all the time. Coach is so eager to learn. This guy is the most curious guy I've ever met. Like, there's a whole bunch of different things that would change my answer. But for that one, it's essentially like trying to convince a Democrat to vote for Trump. It's just such a battle.
Well-timed reference.
It's such a battle. Like, even regardless of how deeply you feel about that, is that really the fight you want to pick?
Yeah. I love that. Choose your battles. It's really another way to say own your attention, which obviously I love. Right?
It's not, to me, this is not a matter of integrity. It's not a matter of you standing up for what you believe in. It's a matter of, you just said, own your attention. Like, dude, it's a distraction at this point. Let them do their things. You're in someone else's house and they don't follow the same family rules that you would like to follow. Well, yeah, that's not your place, really.
Yeah. I think the thing that stuck out of me with Andrew's question is, in the middle of the workout, watching somebody else move, if you are yourself also in the middle of that workout, past the first minute of the workout, I'm not sure I could point you to where the other people in the room were.
Yeah, I think he said he's a former coach.
Yeah, I get that. But
I am watching people all the time.
Even in the middle of whatever. Yep. Yeah, okay, cool.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
You can't not. You're a coach first. Your brain goes to.
I grant you that. Yep.
Your brain goes to, how do I make this better for them?
Yep. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. All right, Andrew, hope that was helpful. We got 3 more questions. Let's take a quick break to say thanks to some sponsors first. We're brought to you by the Defender family of vehicles, the vehicle engineered for adventure and exploration. Visit LandRoverUSA.com to design your Defender today. So much of what we want to do can seem impossible. What are your grand ambitions, your greatest goals? Are you there yet? Me neither. Believe it or not, it's a good thing. The highest achievers among us are those still striving, still reaching for something. And it's those people who approach the impossible and embrace it. That's where the Defender comes in. With its legendary capability, it's reimagined for a new generation of explorers. The Defender family includes options like the 90, 110, and 130, with the 130 offering 8 seats for all your adventures. Woo! Engineered to meet challenges head on. Its tough design and durable materials make it an icon of adventure. Explore your way with confidence, knowing you have a vehicle that exudes capability and strength. Design your Defender at LandRoverUSA.com.
I might get it now.
The 8 seats?
That makes sense. Those cars are so dope. They are awesome. And they are very different than they were 2 years ago as well, in terms of just like the stylishness of them. That's the next car, Patrick. That's it.
All right. Good to know. We're also brought to you this time around by Our Place, a mission-driven and female-founded brand that creates beautiful kitchen products that are healthy and sustainable. Go to FromOurPlace.com, use the code EXCELLENCE at checkout to receive 10% off everything on their website. Did you know that most cookware and appliances are made with forever chemicals? That's why Our Place is leading the change with their PFAS-free and toxin-free ceramic coatings. Their beautifully designed products not only elevate your kitchen, but also make cooking easier and healthier. With Our Place, you can finally say goodbye to cluttered cabinets filled with toxic kitchenware. Instead, embrace their stylish pots, pans, and non-toxic appliances that inspire you to cook more at home. Plus, with over 75,000 5-star reviews, it's no wonder Our Place has been featured in the New York Times and Bon Appetit, and is a favorite in kitchens from Selena Gomez to David Beckham. Upgrade to Our Place today, and remember to visit FromOurPlace.com and enter the code EXCELLENCE at checkout for 10% off everything they've got on the website.
We are coming to the holidays. This is what a great... We have the pan. I want to say frying pan.
Yep, you've got a pan. I've got something called the Wonder Oven, which is also really cool.
The pan is... It's really premium. It's really sweet.
I sent the website to Heather, and I think she texted back, I've been on this website for an hour and a half.
For the boys out there, a great gift idea. This is awesome.
All right. right, back to our questions. This next one is from Jen. I do CrossFit Monday through Friday religiously. I take Saturday off and run 5K on Sunday. A few weeks ago, life got in the way and I didn't run on Sunday. The following week, I felt much stronger at the gym. A few weeks later, I decided to skip my Sunday run again to see if I had the same results, and I did. Better week at the gym. Mentally, I would prefer to work out 6 days a week. Do you think it's more beneficial to have that extra rest day or push through with 6 days like I have been doing?
More complex question than probably she thinks she's asking. But to try to make it really simple, it's 6 days at the intensity level that you're doing it is too much.
Yes. Great.
So the answer is, I believe that Sunday run day is a part of a complete fitness program. So my take would be not to give up the Sunday run day, but to maybe give up another day during the week where you're doing the Monday through Friday of probably similar type stuff, right? Now that gets challenging because she's probably like me where I can't start my day unless I do this. Like unless I go and do my group workout, my day just feels off. So what is the solve for that? If you want to keep, as she said, she likes the feeling of 6 days, but wow, I perform better at 5. What if we took a day, 2 days, or even 3 of those days backed off the intensity? We gave this talk a little bit when we did intentional intensity, when we were talking about what do we call that conversation? It was on the heels of like getting the best shape of your life in 2.5 hours.
Hold on, I'll give you the exact title because I've got it. It's called What Training with Intentional Intensity Actually Looks Like, and it came out October 8th.
Great. Look at you are on the ball.
I told you, I got it.
Not just a pretty face, not just a great voice. He actually is a producer. Amazing. Okay. During that conversation, we talked about varying intensity levels. It was basically the shortcut answer to that. And what we want to do is train at zone 2, right, which is this really low slong. That's probably your Sunday run day. Then we also want to spend the majority of the week training at lactic threshold or VO2 max. That is on the perceived rate of exertion scale, 1 being a walk and 10 being the hardest CrossFit workout you've ever done. A lactic threshold is at a rate of perceived exertion at 5 or 6. For somebody that's been doing CrossFit, that seems like you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
For somebody off the couch, that's really hard training. That's what it is. When we said constantly varied function movements at high intensity, lactic threshold is considered high intensity. It just feels like you're not doing anything relative to what you have been doing. VO2 max is at a 7 or 8. Just to finish out the story, anaerobic capacity is the highest. That's what you're doing all the time. That's at a 9 or a 10. We can't expect to go to the gym 6 days a week and do anaerobic capacity work every single time. That's just not the way this thing is set up. So if you want to go 6 days a week, which is what I do, I agree with it too, at least 2 of those days need to be either lactic threshold or VO2 max, meaning below an 8 or below on the perceived exertion. That's where it needs to be. It should not be. Now I would even do like a 3rd day. Maybe only 1 day a week is the traditional CrossFit, everything you got. That's the way. And then see how your body feels.
Yep.
Other way to do it is like, no, I'm going to take off another day. Cool. Just do the Sunday, take Monday off. So now you have this run, you have a day off, and the rest of the week will feel great.
Love it. Great. Hope that was helpful, Jen. Next one is from Jovanka. Here's her question. I'm trying to find the balance between giving myself grace and pushing myself to be better. I don't want to fall into a victim mentality of this isn't fair or this is hard, but I also need to acknowledge those feelings when they arise. Do you have any advice for maintaining a healthy mindset while navigating challenging times?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So good awareness, Jovanka, that here's the difference. Holding on to and continuing to have the this isn't fair, I'm a victim, I need to find justice, whatever it is.
Yep. It's
their fault. It's the holding on to it.
Yeah.
Having that emotion, having that thought is natural. We're all going to have, it's what's going to happen. But it's the holding on to it that dictates the level of mindset. So concrete, real example, right? You have a meeting with your boss and your boss says, you're underperforming. You walk out of that meeting and you're pissed and you're mad at your boss and you're like, this isn't fair. He doesn't know that I outwork everybody else. He's giving credit to somebody else. That's unfair, right? Okay. And you have that feeling for minutes, maybe hours, maybe it lasts for a day or two. But if you still have that feeling a week later, that's what we're trying to work through. That's what we're trying to do, is have the right emotion, the right amount at the right time. That's emotional maturity. Now we go like, whoa, I thought we were talking about mental stuff. This is emotions. Remember the framework and the way it works physiologically. There is a trigger, your boss saying you're underperforming. There is a subconscious thought. You don't own it. You don't control it. It's going to happen. It's built in the survival mechanisms, which is I'm going to be shunned from the community. They don't find me valuable. I'm going to get kicked out in the woods. This is primordial. This is built into our DNA. I have to make sure that people like me. Boss doesn't like me. That's a bad thing. So I'm going to have this just subconscious thought of like, wow, I might die. Then from there, that thought creates an emotion, fear, anxiety, dread, doubt, anger, whatever it is. And that leads to a physiological response, which could actually spin up into this sewer cycle of this thinking, feeling, emotional loop, which makes it worse and you end up in a panic attack, right? What we want to be able to do, and this is what, Jovanka, we can do, is when you feel those things come on, recognize it. And then as we talked about earlier, Viktor Frankl, between stimulus, trigger, and response, the way you feel about it, there is a gap, there is a space. And we, unlike other animals, have the ability to have a conscious thought. Not using the amygdala, the brain, but the prefrontal cortex. We have that option of having a different thought. Whole bunch of different tools you can use from there, from perspective to reframing to whatever it is, to simply trying to get ourselves out of that loop. And you got to work at it. And that's the idea, is can we just continue to work at this thing and work at this thing? Over time, things that used to bother you will bother you a whole lot less. And all we're doing is leveling it up over time. But just like getting stronger in the gym, what you do today does not make you stronger tomorrow. It's what you do over the next 2 or 3 years that makes you stronger 2 or 3 years from now. So I think what people do is they try the gym and they're like, well, I don't feel any different, and they let it go. It's this constant drip, drip, drip. It's the chronic aspect of this, if we want to use a negative term in a positive way. We need to chronically, all the time, be trying to be aware of this and try to reframe it and work it up, reframe it and work it up. And it's cool is, we get these questions coming in, and you can tell people now they have this awareness of it. That's so much bigger. Like Jovanka is so much farther along than where most of the world is, which is this true victim, but this unconscious victim. They don't even realize it. Once Jovanka now is in the mental dojo. Yep. She's in the mental gym, lifting the weights, getting mentally stronger. As long as you go, well, this is a victim talk. How can I turn this at least into a pessimist, right? Which isn't like, it's not my boss's fault. It's not like my boss's fault. It's not my coworker's fault. Like, yeah, this sucks that he doesn't recognize that I've been working my ass off, but what can I do to change that? That's a pessimist. That's like, this sucks. Not his fault, her fault, the world is out to get me. Just that little shift up from victim to pessimist is a game-changing paradigm shift. And then you go from that this sucks, like, okay, now I'm going to have to work even harder, to, okay, what can I learn from this? What did he tell me in that meeting that I can learn from and grow from? Like, okay, now we're really talking. And it's that's the conversation we're having over and over and over again with ourselves at all times. Are we going to trip? Are we going to stumble? Are we going to fail? Yep, absolutely. That's like saying we're going to shoot baskets and we're never going to miss. Like, no, you're practicing. You miss baskets when you practice. And it's not going to be awesome and amazing. Practice is hard. But over the long term, man, it feels like when you level up, and you become a little bit more bulletproof, a little bit more unrattable, and you're not walking around as a victim, the world changes.
Last question we've got is from Rick. How do you distinguish between a coachable and an uncoachable athlete? What approach should you take when dealing with an uncoachable individual? Are there strategies to help shift their mindset?
Well, how do you determine it? It's, do they accept the feedback? Are they excited? So there's the fixed mindset and there's the growth mindset. That's what Carol Dweck talks about. Fixed mindset people, if I give you feedback, you feel like I'm challenging your worth. I'm saying you're not very good because I gave you that feedback. Growth-minded people are excited about it. Tell me more. Like, oh my God, that's awesome. Like, I can do that and I can be that much better. I grew up as way more, and by the way, it's modal specific.
Yep.
So you can have a growth mindset you have a growth mindset in athletics. Tell me more, coach. But you could have a fixed mindset in relationships. You know, your significant other tries to give you some advice and you close right up. So it depends on that. Carol Dweck talks about in this kind of binary type thing. You either have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. I don't think it's necessarily the case. I think there is very much the fake growth mindset, which is maybe what makes it a little more challenging, which is people that are like, okay, yep, I got it. Yep, sounds good. Okay, I'll go do that. But inside they're dying, right? They're pretending like they appreciate the feedback, but inside they're like, coach doesn't think I'm very good. Do they think they're better than me? Why? I just want like the praise. I want the accolades. I want the recognition for how hard I've worked. Don't tell me what I have left to do. It's all about who I am now, not who I'm becoming. I think it's easy to fake, and that's maybe where this question comes in. How do you identify that? And it takes a little bit of just, EQ. It takes a little bit of understanding people and the person. How do you shift it is an awesome question, and you shift it through your language. Period. Like, if you say, great job on that, you're so strong. Great job on that. Wow, you're fast. Great job on that. You're really smart. Those are fixed traits. As opposed to, great job on that. I could see how hard you worked. That's an effort. The fixed mindset is about fixed traits. The growth mindset is about the effort, because the growth mindset believes with enough effort, you're watering the plant, and even though you can't see it sprouting up, there will be something to grow in the future. And you can change it in the athlete's language as well when they're talking. Oh yeah, but I'm just not good at that. Well, you're just not good at that yet. You reframe it for them, like, and you just kind of like let them know, like, well, yeah, I know. Well, we barely scratched the surface on this. You've been here for 6 months. Like, of course, we're not good at that yet, but if we work at it, you will be good at it, and you change on them. It's a great question, because one of the more important characteristics, one of the more important things that you would want to see in a coworker, in a teammate, in somebody that you are coaching is a coachable athlete. It's why whenever I have a new person in my gym, I try as much as possible in the very first class to actually say the words to them. I set them up. I just give them something really easy that I know that they're going to be able to execute on. And even if they execute it on a fraction of what I'm asking for, meaning I say they're doing front squats and I'm like, drive your elbows up, and they move a 16th of an inch, right?
Yep.
I'm like, wow, nice. Oh, great. Oh, this is going to be fun. You're really coachable.
Reinforce the coachability.
Totally. You're really coachable. Love that. And then afterwards, after the class, I'll give them a high five and be like, that was awesome. You're really coachable. It's going to be really fun to have you in class. And you're just telling what your reward. Like, I reward people that respond to coaching.
Yep.
Not, wow, you're really fit. Like, wow, you're really fast. Wow, you're really strong. Like, wow, you move really well. Like, no, that's not going to help you as a coach. It's not going to help them as an athlete.
Only one thing in response to that, which is, I think there's an interesting overlay, or maybe it's a question, is there an interesting overlay when we put the phases of mindset that we've talked about a lot, right? From victim all the way up to the pinnacle of being a competitive mindset or having a competitor's mindset, there's an interesting overlay, I think, between fixed and growth mindset. Obviously, it's a bit of a spectrum. And to your point, it's kind of contextual. So we're all slightly different in different environments. But that fixed mindset is the victim mentality to a large degree, because the victim mentality says the world needs to change so that I am happy and I am comfortable, versus the, oh, interesting, now I have to change or I get to change, is much, much closer, moving toward that competitive mindset. I haven't really lined those two things up before.
Yeah. No, it's really cool. I have not either, but hearing you say that, it very much, what happens in the middle, kind of blurry and unsure, but the two ends of the spectrum are very, very clear, right?
Yep.
As you said, the victim mentality points fingers. Mm-hmm. Like, they don't think I'm good. Like, it's their fault, right? Whether it's the other side of the political spectrum, right? It's the other people in traffic. It's your parents' fault. It's your teacher's fault. It's your boss's fault. It's your coworker's fault. It's always looking external, which is what the fixed mindset does as well. They look external for validation. They're looking for, I need people to say that I'm good. Yep. And if they don't say I'm good, then they must think I'm bad. Whereas on the other side, the competitor mindset, instead of pointing fingers, it's pulling thumbs, right? It's looking at me. It's not about, it's how do I respond to this? How do I own this situation? How do I create change in myself to become a better person? And that's the same thing when somebody gives them feedback, is they go, okay, got it. Now first thing is, this is what we always, I do this with my kids, I also do it with my coaches, is reward how they take feedback. Not the actual, do they make changes with the feedback itself, but the actual, the receiving of the feedback. That's the big thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yep. Did they push back? Did they accept? Did they ask a question? Etc.
Right. And if they, particularly if they do it well, right? If they do it well, you're like, wow, just say it right away. Like, that was awesome. Like, I gave you that feedback that a lot of people might have had a hard time accepting, but man, you took that awesome. And I do this with my son, after soccer games, I'm like, did you see when you were playing and the coach was, I think he was yelling your name, Bodie, more than anyone else's names. How awesome is that? He's paying more attention to you and trying to coach you up more than he is almost anyone else on the team. Whereas there are other parents that, not to look at this, but they're like, why is he yelling at my kid? Like, why is he, it's like, well, get them to value feedback. Actually get them to excited about hearing the coaching and the feedback. So coaching responses is as big a part of coaching as actually getting them to make the changes to the response.
Love that. All right, we're going to wrap it up there. One more reminder, chasingexcellence.email is how you can get on the free newsletter list, as well as into the Chase Club, where you can get a question into a future Chase Club specific episode. We thank everybody out there for listening. We thank you for your ratings and your reviews. Do make sure you are subscribed wherever you are listening or watching this so you do not miss another episode. Ben and I will be back soon for a brand new episode of Chasing Excellence.